about January 1st at midnight is the look on the guy at Walmart's face when it's 12:01 and you're like, I want a fishing license.
Let's go. Do you really shoot the halibut once you get him close to the surface?
We just shoot the halibut every Thursday.
Fellas, get back in that current.
I love it.
I hate
That's
you.
all right.
I hate me too, but it's okay, Ryan.
I'm like a really fat branch, definitely.
Should we just fast forward to the part where I say, so you got skunked?
I have a question for you. So
You came to the right place, bud.
no, listen.
And we are back. This is Rutten River Pursuits Podcast, and you are in the current. We are reality outdoor radio, where our mission is to get you outdoors by connecting you to the people, skills, and products that you can trust.
You can trust them.
You can trust them.
Hey, everybody, I'm Bucky, and who do we have with me in the current tonight?
Spittle.
Will.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Ryan.
Hey, Ryan, tell us about this month's sponsor.
This month's episodes are brought to you in part by Protection First Class Outdoors. PFC lubes were designed and developed to protect and lubricate your firearms, your bows, your tree stands, heck, all your outdoor equipment.
What about fishing rods?
Absolutely fishing rods, Stevie. You know it.
No way.
You know it.
Even kniveses?
You can use it on all your knives, Bucky. The ones you made and the ones you bought. Guys, I'm telling you, this stuff was originally designed to use in automotive undercoatings. Now, it don't get more corrosive than that.
I heard that.
That's true.
Hey, Ryan.
Yeah, buddy.
Does it leave a film or residue?
Absolutely not, Brian. No film, no residue. This stuff isn't going to harm the bluing on your firearms, any other kind of finish you got on any of your other outdoor products. This stuff is the ticket. And what? Now, wait.
I bet it freezes.
It does not freeze, Bucky.
What?
Oh.
But there's one more thing I got to tell you about. This stuff will also act as a cover scent.
You got
How many times you ever taken a well-protected and lubricated piece of equipment in the outdoors? It stinks, boys.
It
Yes,
stinks.
it does.
Not this stuff. They got the earth and the pine cover scent mixed right into the lubricant.
Wow.
They
Come
thought
on.
of
Can't beat it.
everything.
That's right, guys. Make sure you head on over to pfcoutdoors.com. Check out everything they got going on over there. Pick up some of that lube. It's the ticket.
Love that PSCs, bud.
Love me some lubrication.
You guys, we've got phone calls. This doesn't happen, guys.
This is
What?
That's not real.
Yeah, nobody's hearing you guys are really in studio talking from across the room, right?
In our hearts.
You know it. I got one of those cups on a string.
That's what I thought. I heard that about you.
Your end is like an athletic supporter.
I just, I have one, but
Been
not,
accused of worse.
got a lot of holes. in it,
I have the
not
latest
on a
model
string.
of the tin cup variety.
Bucky's looks like a hockey mask.
Yeah, and there's no string.
Bucky, how you feeling?
Getting better, guys. Thank you. Swelling's going down.
This is good news.
Yeah, I'm on the mend.
Good.
That's what I like to hear.
Absolutely. Late Archie's right around the corner, Bucky.
Oh, I don't know. That might be a little too soon, as I'm still going to be on some time off before returning to work.
Yeah.
But I mean, by spring, I should be full ready to have my sea legs on and have enough strength for a big one.
What
Like
about
a big striper, guys? Is what I'm thinking about.
All right.
Are you gonna have a redemption turkey season?
Ooh.
I was going to say, I want to see that longbeard chasing longbeards.
I will get out. I will get out just because I kind of had this hunting this fall cut short. Yeah, I definitely want to be in the woods. I mean, I feel
I'm
a
just
little-
saying. I just remember you peeking your head out like a turkey at a turkey where a turkey runs off because he sees it.
Oh, but it'll be turkey season, and I won't see a turkey though during turkey season. They'll only come. It's Bucky's luck.
I think
I'll have a big old 12-point buck walk in front of me probably
in turkey season.
in turkey season
Because they don't have horns?
because they won't have horns. Yeah,
Okay.
every one of them will in my eyes, in my head.
That'd be impressive.
Yeah,
Did you just
would it?
assume that deer's gender identity, Bucky?
Yeah, I am guilty at that. Guilty as charged. I apologize.
He'll find the sheds then, maybe.
Yeah. I can identify them.
Well, I hope you get a redemption turkey. I've heard they always taste better.
It would be nice. It would be my very first turkey too, so it would taste good.
That's when you know, like, you're a real hunter. It's when you've killed your 8-point buck and then you get your first long beard. That's when I think you feel like a man.
I could walk around like with both sides of my chest puffed up, not just one.
Right.
All right.
So
noted. Noted.
So moving on.
I got some goals. I'm moving on.
Did anybody not do much in the outdoors besides Bucky? I don't want to assume, Buck. Did you get out?
What? I got the trash cans in and out of the house. That's about it, and some mail.
Oh, stay dry and warm.
Yeah. I don't want to
step in the right direction. But
I don't want to slip and pull anything.
Oh, sure.
No.
I can tell you from my perspective, I did not have much success come PA rifle season. I was out actually a lot. Hunter's still chasing down his buck and got some doe tags to fill. So we were out a good bit, but we did not have a whole lot of luck.
Yeah.
We went up to the cabin, hunting the big woods up there. I saw one 4-point that I tried to chase toward Hunter, but you know how that luck goes. You just try to spook one, it turns around, goes the other way.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right, Kyle?
Oh, yeah. I totally. They never run the direction I try and push them.
Good point. I can speak from true experience on that one. That's a good point.
I figured, and maybe I'll talk about this later, I'm not sure yet, but I found that if you go where Kyle isn't going to be, you're going to be a little bit more successful.
Yeah.
God.
It's almost a scientific fact that the deer know me all too well that they're just like, I'm just going to avoid anywhere where that guy's at. He's a killing machine.
200 yards downwind from Kyle is the place to be.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Well, you don't even have to go that far. Try like 40 yards.
Yeah, just outside of my lethal range is where the deer will kind of like to skirt around me.
I'll talk. I guess I will talk about that. You twisted my arm.
I mean, you almost have to at this point.
Andy, did you get out? Did you do anything good?
I had one day of rifle, the first day of doe season. I was able to put a successful drive on for my buddy, but other than that, no, I did not participate in rifle season very much at all.
Yeah, but you guys did end up having a deer down one night.
Yeah,
that's cool.
We got a doe the first Saturday night. So
nice.
Yep.
Very cool.
Well, that's good.
Kyle?
Yeah, I was able to
what?
Put the pinch on. I know. I was kind of keeping it quiet there for a little bit.
Bless your heart.
I was able to connect on a nice sized doe on the first Saturday there of rifle. Well, I guess shotgun for me.
You did it.
Yeah. I did it.
That's awesome. How'd that go?
Yeah. Yeah, I was set up on kind of in between two fields because I knew the deer would be working their way out, in the evening, going out to feed, and wasn't really seeing a whole lot of action most of the night. And then probably the last 15 minutes, it was like somebody flipped the switch and they all just started piling in, and
crazy.
They weren't coming out really within my range yet. They were all still at that 200, 150 range mark, and they were slowly coming out, but I wasn't sure if they were going to make it in time. So I'm sitting there looking at my watch, watching as the sun's going down, watching my watch for legal shooting hours. I'm like, come on. And then literally probably like 5 minutes. Yeah, exactly. And then with like 5 minutes of shooting light left, I hear boom. And my brother, who was hunting maybe 100 yards away from me, he let a shot rip. He connected on a doe. So, of course, all the deer in the field then were kind of super skittish and spooked, wondering what was going on. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me. So, they kind of slowed up their transition. And then I had probably like a yearling at like 75 yards, but I was debating whether or not I wanted to shoot a yearling, and I was like, no, I'll give the yearling the pass, and then
let them grow.
Yeah, let them grow, and then the bigger mature doe that was with the bunch that was out there, she's kind of started working her way towards me, and I mean, you're talking, the last couple minutes of shooting light,
right?
And I was like, she presented me a good shot, but it was a little outside of my comfort range. I'm good to about like 100. She was at about like 115. So, I had to make a decision if I was going to.
It's so like at last light, it just all bets are off. I mean, you you know what I mean? It's no bueno.
Yeah. So I was like, it's not ideal, but, part of me, thought, I was like, there's one or two things are going to happen. I'm either going to connect where I need to hit, or I'm just going to miss, because I know my gun's on. It's just at that distance, the slugs can drop a little bit more than what you're anticipating. So I aimed high and let one off.
Like Air Force.
Exactly.
Aim high.
Yeah.
So
Take it easy, high. Maverick.
And I knew I connected with her with the way that she was running. She actually ended up running like straight towards me about another 50 to 75 yards, and then was still broadside again at like probably 60 yards. So I let another one go, and that one landed square right behind her shoulder, and she only ran maybe another 30 yards from there.
Towards your truck?
I wish.
Good for you.
It was awesome for sure. I was happy to connect again.
Very cool.
I'll tell you what, if you could ever master having them run toward the truck, that would be a skill.
That would be. Especially if your truck was uphill.
Was it last year, Bucky, or 2 years ago? No. It was last year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you did talk about that last year.
Yeah, we lost it, had to back out, and then found her about 25 yards from my truck.
Yeah. It was a pretty easy morning to reconnoiter.
We took
Doesn't get any better than that.
The only reason why it took as long as it did is I was their point man.
But we took the long way around to my truck again.
The long way home.
Yep.
That's a Bucky long-bearded pointer.
They don't always go that way.
It takes 3 times as long as it should have. With the Bucky.
Let me be the first to say congratulations.
Congratulations. Will.
Thank you.
Did you just congratulate Ryan?
I'd like to congratulate Ryan.
Congratulate Will.
Bucky actually, we're a hot mess. Bucky congratulated me, and I congratulated Ryan.
Ryan was congratulating.
So I got it right.
We love each other. Congratulations,
Congratulations,
guys.
everybody.
I love you guys.
Congratulations, everyone.
Nah, that's cool that you got to be on the same page with your brothers, though, man.
Yeah, we all win. Did your brother end up getting one?
Yeah, yep. He ended up getting a doe as well. So actually, that property's produced pretty good for us this year. We've managed to get 4 doe, and then my brother's giant buck off of that same property.
Wow. Similar stands, or all you guys
actually, all different stands, actually.
Nice.
Keep them guessing.
So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I told you earlier, man. Those deer, they try and figure me out, and they just know to avoid me. So I got to keep them guessing.
How many Parkins brothers hunt at the same time? 2, or is
at times we've had all 4 of us, but it gets a little tight with having all 4 of us over there. But so usually it's 2 to 3. Sometimes if we can get like the perfect wind, then it plays out that most of our stands are huntable. But usually,
have you ever tripled?
In hunt, I don't think so. No. We've doubled up a couple times, but no triple ups.
I mean, the Parkins brothers didn't, but I think we did triple.
We did. That's right.
I didn't want to say until now, but yeah, we did.
Yeah, that's a valid point. Not that property, though. I guess the cat's out of the bag on that one now.
Yeah. So, Will, would you say that's foreshadowing or something? What are you trying to tell us?
I'm telling you that Friday was pretty special. I got a chance to go hunt with Kyle down in his special regulations area, and where dudes were wielding shotguns and bows.
Ooh.
Indeed. We're more restricted with our weapon protection than the rest of the state. but they're just as effective in
I
getting the job.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider that a restriction. The restriction was how many tags you had.
It's true.
So what'd you guys do? What happened?
Deer drives.
Nice.
Like we've been talking about from week to week here. So I thought it was kind of funny and apropos. I don't know, it's probably been 3-4 years now since I've been on a deer drive.
You went on one last year with me.
A mini one.
A mini one, yeah.
I was barely one.
I just told you where to go and you went.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this is a deer drive, Spittle.
Big
what he meant
woods.
to say was it's been 3 or 4 seasons, like summer, fall, winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
You're talking big woods, organized deer drive.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay.
Yeah. Whistling like a hoot owl and stuff like that.
I don't like it.
Ooh.
Who are you?
It was really cool. So the first drive I got to sit, and everybody had this ridiculous amount of confidence, which I'm not used to. I hunt really, really big woods, or the bottom of a mountain. Like it's still big woods, but it's like massive
little patch hunting.
It's not patch hunting. Yeah.
Yep.
And it incorporated a lot of different terrain, and so it was really, really cool. And just the number of deer. I mean, you still have the special regs area. You have the urban-ish kind of areas in down there.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of it's not so much urban, but more suburban. There's just a lot of houses and housing developments. Just, there's plenty of pockets for the deer to get in, but it's just there's a lot of suburban houses that kind of prevent you from really hunting a lot of it.
Yeah.
So you can't like knock on a door and ask them if you could kick the deer out from under the deck or anything like that.
Right. You could, and some people would like that and appreciate it.
Wow.
It just
absolutely.
But these patches were kind of cool. He just they were just very confident, and I wasn't used to that. And like you said, all you got to do is start in one area, and the population of deer will push the other deer.
Yep.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. They keep each other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, and to preface this, like we all had a high amount of confidence because we've done these drives before. So we knew that it wasn't a matter of whether or not we would see the deer. It was more of a question on how they were going to react or where exactly they were.
Like any drive, they have a million escape routes.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you've planned things out. You've put people in right spots. You know where your chances are best.
We had majority of our bases covered.
Yep, that's cool.
So I sat the first round. Like I said, the funny part was, and I'm going to go back to it really quickly, was like Kyle was like, just wait, it's going to be madness. And then and I'm like, oh, that's cool, bud. Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited. And then then we get to the meeting area, and I said, I said hi to all the brothers, the Parkinson brothers, and he was, and one of his brothers, get ready for the madness.
It's like going out with the James Unger gang or something.
Yeah, they say the same thing. Everybody says the same thing, only in their own style.
Yeah.
And then, pretty much like Hulk Hogan's like, oh, yeah, brother, let me tell you something. Whatever, Jimmy Superfly. But
so being a novice to a Pennsylvania good old deer drive, when you're doing this, when you're the shooter or the stander, are you on the ground? Are you up? Are you in a climber? How do you boys do this?
Both. It depends.
Okay.
It depends
per
on
situation and per spot.
The spot, the resources. If you can, some guys will take their climbers in.
Yep.
To get up.
Gotcha.
Some guys will grab a stand that's pre-existing. Some guys you can't be in the air. You just have to be on the ground because you're going to push the deer. You know what I mean? So like,
there's major advantages per situation, and being on the ground though too, just the mobility. If the deer don't do what you want them to do, and you can turn them back into the middle of the drive sometimes if they start busting out the side. You can't do that from a tree stand. So if you are mobile,
so you sometimes, depending, you want to position yourself to be a driver as well.
Definitely.
Sometimes.
Yep.
Yep. So I got the stand in a pre-existing stand set up.
Cool.
And it was not long. Like it was the madness.
Maybe a half hour,
if that. It was stupid. I got set, and the stand I was sitting in was kind of small for me, my comfort zone. It was a lock on, and I pulled the gun up just to kind of like check how I could swing without falling out.
Well, that's smart.
Yeah, and
that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then it was like,
there they are.
There they are. So I literally put the gun up for no reason, and then there was deer.
Cool.
So it was just that stupid. And it was just single file, like a conga line.
That's literally a conga line.
That is cool.
And it was one right after another.
Yep.
And,
now, mind you guys, I'm hunting within shouting distance of Will. So I'm maybe only 75 to 100 yards away from Will.
Okay.
So I'm kind of seeing all this.
You were not 100 yards. You were definitely
not even 100 yards.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing all this transact at the same time. So I'm watching this from my stand.
I thought with the amount of deer that were coming through, they had to been getting close or coming in on you, but
they were.
But
they were close.
Yeah,
they were just about 10 yards too far. Like they were probably within 50 or 60 yards of me, but the way that the woods was set up, they were pretty much behind this row of trees that didn't really give me any good, solid, clear shots to them.
Gotcha.
So, and but like Will said, we had high confidence overall in the day, so I wasn't going to try and just force a bad shot just to try and let one off.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah, super smart. But it just, they were right down the old barrel, right alley. They read the script for me. Like it was like, and I had my pick of it. It was a buffet. And I just,
all right,
a buffet.
That's one of the options with our guide service. It's called Deer a la carte.
Yeah, there was no ear tags, but there should have been. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like it was like, I don't remember seeing that many deer in my life. Like
wow,
the whole day.
Yep.
And before I get into my deer story,
that sounds like the good old days. And
well, that's
for those that
making me remember all
can't
the
see
days.
me. I just threw up the air quotes around the good old days.
Yeah. I don't want to lie to you guys. That I'm not purposely, like, I'm not trying to lie, but I bet I saw 100 deer.
That is awesome.
Wow. Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
It's funny.
That's cool.
I saw, and here's the funny part.
Yeah.
Well, like I'll get into it later, but I did the second one. I did a drive because I tagged out.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I got the drive, and I saw more deer on the drive walking.
Yep.
Than I saw standing.
It's a fun way to hunt. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea. I get it. Some people can't, get on board with it, but man, it's fun. And it's amazing how close you can be to deer. Like Kyle said, they ran right down your gun barrel, but he was on the other side of a row of trees and couldn't shoot any of them.
And maybe had I had a gun on the drive, I could have shot 3 deer. Wow. They were that close. Like I don't do the running blah 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 this and that. Like it was Will type shots.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like I could
stand there and watch you. Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, they kind of like get close to you, and you're like, oh, I don't want to be here now, and they kind of have that hesitation second, and then that, you know what I mean? So as a driver, I feel like I could have done some damage as well. But back to the first drive. I'm standing. I have this conga line of deer, and
as Tommy Boy would say, pretty little maids all in a row.
Right on,
Richard. I had this
housekeeping.
Fluff pillow.
I had this half rack buck that.
Don't get me started on him.
That was as big as my 2-rack buck.
He would have qualified for Quest Hunt Co. on one side.
On one side.
All right.
He was nice.
He was a nice deer.
Rough rut for him or something, guys?
Yeah, probably. I mean, he got broke off somehow, one way or another.
Early shedder.
Possible early shedder. Who knows? I don't want to judge. But
who are we to discriminate?
Who are we?
Yeah, I bet you
Maybe he's had some medical issues.
I don't know. I bet you he was fighting because he was cruising. Like these doe that he was with, he was rooting them.
Yeah,
he was still.
He was get out while you can, ladies.
Yeah, he was still after him.
I heard that the big buck down that way have all caught wind of this. They know if they bust off both sides, then somebody will shoot them because they think it's an antlerless deer.
Right.
But if they only bust off one side, then guys are like, I'll wait for a full rack.
Exactly.
They know they stand a much better chance of getting big if they bust half their rack off before archery opens.
It's like
they haven't met me yet.
Or will.
No, he hasn't. And I told Kyle this, that if I did not tag out, that deer would be running home with me.
And I told Will, I said I would have expected him to, because he was same thing. Will saw the whole thing happen where he was kind of corralling this one doe and made it look like he was going to circle back towards me.
Yeah.
And I was
after I took my shot
too. Yeah.
They just held up and then just hung out. And I thought, oh my gosh, they're going back over to Kyle. And then they just ended up unfortunately doing a circle and not filtering that way, but but they didn't go. They
don't know what to do sometimes, and you pop a shot off, and sometimes they just freeze. They don't have a freaking clue where to go.
It was
Do you think that they're trying to figure out where that came from or what just happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think it shocks them sometimes. I mean, I've seen that happen before too. On some drives.
They go back to like they're rooting around. They were
actually stopped eating, rooting around.
They were just rooting around. The buck was chasing the does around, and they just kind of like held up, and it was just weird. It was super funny, and the fun. This is the worst part. Is like Kyle's like, why would all the deer filtered by the guy with the least amount of tags? And
because
for the same reason they bust half a rack off.
Right.
For the same reason that they avoid me and run to other people.
You really must not have a scent control game at all, Kyle, honestly.
My scent control game is freakish.
I don't believe it.
It's not the scent, Mr. Scuttle.
It's the second time I got to hear these stories.
I don't knock on whatever. I just feel I'm just having one of those years too. It's just every time I'm in the woods, I feel like I'm dragging something home. So it's super rare,
It's a good problem to have, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. It's a problem we wish we all had.
Old Darren, Kyle's buddy, he's definitely my buddy now. He's like, that's an old long snouter, he calls them. He's like, all right, cool. I had my pick of deer, so they're coming through in this conga line, and they're walking pretty good. They're not running, they're not trotting. They're
more
just
like a bump, 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 bump.
Yeah, and they're coming through, and I'm like, I'm not always confident trying to stop them, especially when there's a lot of them, and especially when they're trying to be walking away from a drive,
So
yeah, they're tiptoeing.
Yeah. But that's not a shot you feel totally confident always, just the moving
I don't like the moving deers.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, that's just...
I was waiting for Ryan to say, you don't need to pluralize that. But
well, you don't, but I like it anyway.
the moving deers. I just don't prefer that. I don't know. Some guys can get comfortable doing it. It's not me, but they were walking slow enough that I was able to do what I was trained to do, and I picked a spot, and a couple little ones went through. I scoped them out, made sure that I had an understanding of what they look like in the scope.
Yep.
And the big nanny, just stepped into the hole.
Long snouter.
Big old long snouter. And she was a nice big doe.
Oh, she was hefty.
Yeah. So I just squeezed off like normal, and she dropped behind a tree. So there was at least a minute of uncertainty.
You wanted to shoot another one.
I was looking around like, is that the one? And there's like 10 more deer. Is she around? Is there not? So
that can be a tricky part.
Will thought she teleported for a second.
Yeah, beamed her up. But I had to lean pretty much to the extent of my rope, my leash, to see a little bit of white. So I kind of, I was looking really, really hard. She went right down behind a tree. I had no,
Kyle, did you get to watch all that go down?
I didn't. I got to watch. I could see Will clearly in the stand, but I could not see all of the deer because, again, I had kind of wrote I could make them out, but I couldn't see the exact deer that Will was shooting. So I got to see him actually shoot, but I didn't get to see the deer go down.
Cool.
But I knew when I heard one lone shot and there was no boom boom. I got one and done. I was like, yep. I was like, Will got one.
That is a neat thing.
I want to point out that's not often a problem you hear about when somebody says, I just couldn't quite see all the deer.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, let me be the first one to say congratulations on that.
Congratulations, Will.
Congratulations, Will.
Congratulations, Andy.
Congratulations, Kyle.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Parkins Guide Service does it again. He's literally 20 yards off the rope, and it's so unfortunate. And there was no way for me, with all the deer being around, to throw a stick or do whatever to make them go back. I could. My heart wanted those deer to just not do what they're doing, which is walking through.
You could have given him a go on get.
I at one point, Kyle. So we're texting at this point and sending pictures of all these deer, and he's like, just get down and scare them away. Just get them out of here because more deer will come, and it was so I was like, hey, go on, get, I kind of yelled at him, and I didn't want to get down. I'm not comfortable in that tiny stand anyway, but I mean, I would if that was the situation.
Treat them like a
I told Will, I said, just yell at them. I said, get them. I said, make them realize that they're not safe here anymore.
You're not safe. Keep moving. And honestly, there's another row of sitters, that they had to get to.
So you have a two stages of sitters.
Well,
3 stages actually.
Yeah, we're all on this edge, this field edge, this all wood edge basically, and so they could filter down through me, past Kyle, past me, to the next guy.
Ryan, I know you're gonna have to wade through this, but I want to have this picture in my head, honestly, because I've never done big woods deer drives. So you have 3 waves of sitters. Is that? Oh my gosh, that's freaking cool.
Yeah, so the way that the drive was kind of structured, or basically the way that the land is set up, is you have thicket, road, woods. So the thicket is the part that was getting driven out, and then there was a road, and then another woods. So that's where our first row of sitters were. And sometimes the deer will hole up in that woods. Sometimes they'll run straight through that woods. So the drivers push the thicket to that first woods, and then depending what deer come through, then the drivers keep going through that woods. And then there's another set of woods, and then power lines with a lot of goldenrod and just more additional bedding area that could hold deer. So the drivers go through the first thicket, first woods, then come across another road to the second woods and second goldenrod, and then after that second goldenrod is another woods where you have your second standers.
Oh my gosh.
So then once the drivers hit that second woods and the goldenrod on the power lines, then they're walking into the second standers in the second woods, and then where Will and I was across another road where it's in a woods. So that was kind of like the last stand.
Wow.
And that group of deer that came through is why we had the three tiers, because they ran right through the first two standers and then holed up in our woods. So it worked out perfectly from that standpoint.
My pants are
like Wilbur's last stand.
First stand.
Oh my gosh, though, that sounds amazing. How long did it?
Yeah.
How many years did it take you guys to orchestrate that?
Yeah.
Oh, we're still working
out the bugs
and adjusting it, because we've had permission to hunt this property for probably, I think, pretty much since I've been able to hunt, and we've only started doing like this big tiered drive like in the past couple of years. But even like the smaller drives that we always did, they always found ways to kind of slip out the sides and into these areas where we can't really chase them. Those we've literally watched them go, running through like a row of pine trees between two houses. Like
I saw 30 deer in a dude's yard.
Yep.
And they were just like, screw you.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah.
You can't go. I mean, it's somebody's yard. You're not going to go there.
Wow.
Yeah, I always joke with people, like, hunting special rags is some of the toughest hunting, because you're literally competing with, like, deer, like, literally just going in people's yards where they're like, I know I'm safe here. I know you can't chase me here.
That is awesome.
What if I identified as a coyote that day?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I grew up doing, though. I mean, we patch hunted with a farm gang, and I mean, that's all we did was orchestrate drives around, smaller patches. But I mean, what you guys are doing sounds, oh my gosh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah. So in addition to the deer, I saw 2 fox.
Okay.
A pack of turkeys, which the guy said that they didn't have that many turkeys. Like they don't.
Yeah, we don't have a whole lot of turkeys in that area. There's pretty much, I think, maybe 1 or 2 flocks in that whole area.
And that's amazing. You see turkey and fox in the same spot like that, for an area not having turkey, though, too. And then you have predator right there, too, in the same day.
Oh,
but I mean, just like, I mean, come on.
Yep.
I mean, that's awesome.
Yep.
And on top of Will's deer, we got another 2 deer.
What?
So we tripled up that day.
Off of that drive.
The second drive.
2 on the first drive. So Will, and then my brother got one on that first drive.
Yes.
So he was sitting in tier 2, and then Darren got one on the last drive.
Is this like 10, 12 guys?
It was probably right around there. Yeah, probably right around 12.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Andy, I think next year we should make it closer to 14.
Ryan, you and I are going to make it 14.
Nice.
I'll shake your hand through the phone on that one.
Like
It was cool. And then, on top of that, then we get our deer out of the woods and we take all the deer over to Darren's. And Darren we've talked about him before. He's a ninja. Like a straight up outdoor ninja. Like
he's a knife savant.
Yeah,
Darren's the speed skinner. I like it.
What's the dude?
Hattori.
Chris Lapp.
Oh, I was going to Kill Bill, the guy that made the sword.
No, Chris Lapp. You skin Grizz?
Oh, gotcha.
Like he's like he literally can skin anything like wicked fast, and like he doesn't skin deer for fun. It's always for time. He's like a
oh really?
Yeah, it's like and I thought because he had to go, like he's like I got to get going. I got to go to work. I only got a half day, but he was asking for time
every deer
when he was as he was skinning. And I thought it was hilarious. Like
man,
we're just watching this happen. He skinned my deer and quartered it, chunked it out in 12 minutes.
What?
Whoa!
Wow.
12.
Impressive.
It was, and he was.
Oh gosh!
That man knows how to handle some meat.
Oh yeah, he has some experience doing it. He usually gets like 10 to 12 deer a season.
Wow.
Okay.
One of those guys.
Oh yeah.
It's like necessity. He doesn't.
I don't like him.
He ain't got time.
Yeah, he is. He's next level.
That's cool.
It's so funny. He's like, what time you got? I'm like, oh,
it's just something he takes that much pride in.
Yeah, and it's wicked.
Cool.
Yeah, I love watching it. I do. A lot of times, me, like I like to be involved with every step of the process. I want to be skinning. I want to be tracking first. I want to be, dragging. I want to be skinning.
Yeah.
Like I want to be doing whatever.
Yep.
When he's doing it, I just want to watch. I just want to sit there and watch. And I feel like this little fanboy, whatever. Darren is, if you're listening.
Will Miser, outdoor voyeur.
Yeah, because I even turned to Will. I was like, Will. I said, this is like your favorite part, cutting up the deer. I said, you and Will's like, nope, I'm good, just watching. I was like,
I'm good.
All right,
let me watch a master. When a master's working, then.
Yeah. Hi, Darren. It's me, Will. No, I literally, I just love it, and his garage is just set up perfectly, for everything. He's literally like Salt Bay, like cool. Just like slicing, slapping, throwing, like, and then when it's not pretty, so like my job at that point is to make it the way Leanna and I
church it up.
Yeah.
Church it up a bit.
No, thank you, Kyle, for doing that. And
yeah, no problem.
Thanks for having me up. Speaking of Leanna, guys, I do want to get her down here because we had.
Are we sharing this with other people? This is almost
some magic happened.
Yeah.
Hi, fellas.
Have to share it.
Hi, fellas.
I don't know, guys.
Leanna.
Hello, Miss
I
Leanna.
gotta tell you, the water is really nice tonight in this current.
That's because I'm upstream.
Oh, Bucky, you didn't.
I did.
It's warm spot. Love it. Fellas, it is so good. Okay, first of all, to hear two of you, but see three of you down here in the studio.
Yeah.
My goodness.
We're using technology on loan from the government right now.
Yeah,
for
I
this.
love it.
Space age.
Yeah, this isn't standard
I
operating.
absolutely love it. And I just think my favorite part is when, somebody asked Kyle, what were there, like 9 people there hunting with you? Kyle's brothers alone, you put the 3 of them together, it's like a team of 14. They're all 9 feet. So yeah, it's fun.
It's true.
The 3 Parkins alone.
Yeah, it's not like the Parkins are not like the quarter horses in the barn. They're more like the big draft.
Yeah, they're the defensive line. For an NFL team. So, PSA, public service announcement to all partners of sports people, all partners of outdoors people.
Sure.
Partner up with someone that fills 2 tags so that when that partner fills the 3rd tag, Oh man, can you get creative, fellas? Can you
I see what you did there.
Creative. So,
What happened?
deer number 1, shout out to Jeremiah Dowdy from Field to Plate. Boy, did we put those skills to work.
Sure.
We processed that deer. We took a lot of care. We took a lot of concern. Minimal waste. Wonderful. Deer number 2, literally the next weekend. So go back and listen to your currents, and you'll follow Will's epic fall archery.
And muzzleloader.
In muzzleloader.
Inline.
We were a little bit against the clock on that one because the weather was not our friend.
Yeah.
So we had to, it was a little bit warmer that weekend. Weather was not our friend. But we picked up an Andy Spittle tip and trick, which was, hey, make fajita meat. And my gosh, that was pretty great.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's what we did with deer number 2. Deer number 3. Thanks to this 12-minute processing, which, by the way, I want a video next time because
That's awesome.
We can make that happen.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's only 12 minutes.
It's only 12
he
minutes.
was not.
I watch YouTube cooking videos
The first
that are
time
13.
Kyle, do you remember the first deer?
Oh yeah.
Well, that was not 12 minutes. That was.
That was less.
I want to say 8.
No. How do you shave 4
I
minutes?
wonder what his personal best is. Honestly.
I couldn't tell you, but that Will's first year was when he was actually he was going speed that.
That's
time.
when that's when he literally had a bucket of knives, and as soon as one felt a little bit dull,
Boom.
he grabbed
Gone.
another one.
Gone.
Oh, gosh.
Graduated.
And at one point, and
At one point, that's a one-man job. You can't get near someone working that fast.
No,
you don't.
Yeah, that's
It was
a one.
It was like
That's
Edward
a one.
Scissorhands
Yeah,
when he was
exactly.
trimming up the bushes.
But honestly, that day there was 5 of us there, and Darren was just going to town.
Mm-hmm.
One guy was sharpening knives.
Yeah.
While Darren skinned 4
he had
deer.
a team. He had a team. Yeah.
5 deer.
So you
I
called me.
still don't like him.
It's crazy. That's why I'm like.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he did
Darren.
mine in 12 minutes.
Wow.
He did, but the first one I swear was 8.
That's amazing.
It was a fawn.
No.
Gosh.
No, I had a nice. I've harvested 2 nice deer down there.
Yes, absolutely. Kyle grows them nice, for sure.
Grow them big. Grow a lot of them and grow some big ones.
Big old long snouters.
Will and Kyle call me, alert me of this harvest, and Will, your question to me is, well, what do you want to do with this deer? And I totally didn't know about the whole Darren situation at the time. And I was like, well, I mean, the temperature's right. Do you want to hang it? He's like, no, it is already, it's already broken down. It's already quartered. What do you want to do with it? And I was like,
It's halfway to packaging.
Yeah, it was.
Well, that freed up my thinking. And my number one concern, fellas, and Ryan, you'll back me up on this, have those shanks been saved so I can make awesome bucco?
Oh, there you go.
So once he answered that question, I sort of didn't care what else we did with the deer because you know how I feel about awesome bucco. So we preserved the shanks, and then Will, you looked at me and you're just like, what if we smoked the whole shoulder?
Right.
And then I said, well, what if we treated it like a brisket? Because honestly, if you look at that cut of the meat, other than the fact that it has a bone in it, you kind of have the same shape, same thickness, same graining, same different types of muscle groups. In a traditional beef brisket, you've got the flat and then the large round muscle group part. So I'm like, hey, what if we did it brisket style? And he's like, okay, well then, and this is just us. If you ever peered into how we build a recipe, this is exactly, it's like a total improv group that's yes and. So he's like, what if we smoked the shoulder? Yes and. What if we did it brisket style? Will comes back, yes and. What if we put some au jus in the bottom of it when it braises to sort of help break it down?
That was the beef stock.
Yeah.
That was the beef stock. Yeah. So put that all together. We put about, this will vary for all of you if you want to recreate this recipe, but it took us about 3 hours of smoke time.
It's fair to say it was double smoked.
It's fair to say because we
there
put
was
the
a ring
amazing
on it.
smoke tube. Thank you, ATBBQ.
Yeah.
Chef Tom, let's be good to one another. So it took us about 3 hours on a 30-degree Fahrenheit day to get that shoulder with the meat probe and the thickest part of the meat up to 160. That's where you need to get it, because that gets you the really good bark on it. And then once we got it to 160, it took us about 3 hours. Now, your time will vary. Just cook it to the temperature. Don't worry about the time. We took it out, we wrapped it in triple foil, and that's when we poured we just had a carton of beef stock, like a 32-ounce carton of beef stock in the bottom of it, wrapped it up super tight.
And it's very heavily seasoned. So
our brisket recipe, I'm sure we could probably post it.
Well, we used the Traeger prime.
We used the Traeger prime rib rub, and we mixed it.
That rub is amazing,
isn't it, Kyle? It just has the right umami balance, doesn't it?
Yeah. Okay. That's one of my favorite rubs that they make.
And we mixed it with the All Things Barbecue Grunt Rub. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right, honey. Cattleman's, sold by All Things Barbecue Grunt Rub. And the Grunt Rub really put more.
It's a
pungency.
It's lighter.
Yeah.
Tangy.
Like a tang, like a citrusy. It's not citrus though. It's more like unctuous. Like what a Worcestershire. Here we go, Neil. Super fan Neil. Worcestershire sauce would add to it.
Worcestershire.
Yeah.
I love Worcestershire.
So we hit it with both of those rubs, and we hit it with Will's smoked salt, and we hit it with Will's smoked pepper.
Nice.
Worcestershire is savory. I think that's
quadruple smoked.
Yeah.
That's savory.
It's like a funk.
Yeah, I think you're right there, Ryan. That's like quadruple.
So we rub that in,
I'll allow it.
Let it get tacky, and then that's when we, and folks, what I mean by let it get tacky is when you put that rub on and we mix it with a little bit of olive oil, a heavier fat, because venison is kind of just let it get tacky.
Yeah, that was my concern, was when you're doing this, you have this couple really, really big bones with the, some decent chunks of meat in that shoulder.
Yep.
And so I was worried that the bones were going to heat up and cook the meat too quick and all, and just dry out.
But here's what happened, which was the weird thing.
So I think that was the thought process behind olive oil first.
Yeah. Then the rub, let it get tacky.
And then let the meat sweat, get that season in.
Yeah.
Then when we wrapped it, we went with the beef stock. So we were
You're incorporating a little bit more just to give it a head start.
Yeah,
keep it ahead of the.
Our thought process was just we were worried that it was going to dry out.
Yep.
And here's the thing, like this, I want to quantify this. Like, I've had lots of venison, lots of different ways, and this process, like, changes venison for me. Period.
It's pretty killer.
Like, if you've ever had in a crock pot
all the time,
it's tasty.
It's dry.
It's dry.
Even though it cooks in juice for a whole day, it comes out dry.
Yes. Yeah, it sweats out quick.
Yep.
And quickly. And I think that even if you pressure cook it, it still gets a little tight,
That's a good word, tight. Yep. Yeah, it doesn't break down as
like a rubber band type chew to it almost.
Yeah.
More often than not.
But
it doesn't loosen up.
We've had it sous vide, which I think the sous vide is
close.
The closest to this.
Okay.
So if you've ever sous vide any kind of meat, it gets a chance to break down a little bit more and loosen up. And then your regular steaks on the grill, if you just cook it as rare as you can tolerate it, then it's good, but it's tight. It's just a tighter meat than than say a steak
and that comes because you don't have as much fat. That looseness, that chewiness comes because you have a lot more fat. But venison, you don't.
This process was and Andy and Phil, please jump in here, but you guys had, for all intents and purposes, 20-hour old meat that's been heated 3 times.
Okay.
Since we were.
It was better than any roast beef that I can recall having probably period, but anytime recently. I mean, it was as tender, as good, as juicy. Like
deer doesn't do that, and
No,
I don't understand.
not at all.
Like, I don't know.
As much as I feel like we're doing a disservice by calling that deer beef, but calling it beef is probably the best thing we can do for it, because it
defied the
Yes.
laws of venison, is what it did.
I think people who
That's
know
a t-shirt.
venison would doubt
Well,
that they're
I'm
eating
sold.
venison.
Yeah, that's Ryan. Get that on a bumper sticker tomorrow.
I'm working on it already.
Beep,
I like
boop,
it.
beep, boop.
So let's just finish out the process for super fans that wanna recreate this.
There's more.
So we wrapped it. Once it got to 160, we wrapped it, put the beef's broth in the bottom, about 32 ounces, let's just say, give or take. Eyeball it, throw it back on the grill. Meat probe goes back in, and it took us about, I want to say, 2 more hours to bring it up to 215. That's where you want to get it. Now, fellas, here's why. Traditional brisket, beef brisket, the reason why you want to take it up that is because then your fat will start to break down and ooze back into that meat.
Okay.
Here's what happens when it's venison shoulder. The marrow starts to leach out of that bone. And
That's a lot
I
of
kid
flavor.
you not, it acted just like the beef fat does. So where Will had absolutely every right to be concerned about that bone getting too hot, that bone drying that meat out, does it shrink away from it? It leached this marrow into it. And the reason why we know that is when we were cleaning the shoulder bone off, it was hollow at the one end.
Cool.
Like it was totally lighter, and it was like it didn't operate because the marrow leached out of it because it just it got up to the right temperature. So we take it to 215, and then you've got to let it sit. And you would do that with beef brisket too. Let it sit so all the juices can redistribute back in.
Will leave it wrapped?
We left it wrapped. Full transparency. It got up to temperature at midnight. So I took the night shift, and because I love sleeping in front of our fireplace, I fell asleep in front of our fireplace, and then I knew I would wake myself up. So I woke myself up around 2:15, and it was still somewhat warm to the touch, but not warm enough that it would take the whole refrigerator temperature down. So I felt fine then putting it wrapped into the refrigerator to take it down the rest of the way.
How much of that 32 ounces of fluid was still like in the bottom of that?
It at least 16 ounces, if not more.
More, yeah.
I'd say maybe even 20.
I mean, you see what's left over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say even 20.
Yep.
I'm sold.
And then to serve
we gotta get another
it, all Will
here.
did was shred it and put it in an oven safe container. We picked up the foil, poured all the au jus in, and there you go. There's your serving and warming up dish all in one.
Gosh.
Yeah. So we pretty much cleaned up the rest of the meat tonight for pre-pod. And
sorry.
I have.
Yeah, thanks for
Not sorry.
since we couldn't make
Well, that's why you call it in, and you miss
I
out.
can virtually taste it.
I don't know that you can.
Technology's good.
Yeah, that is good technology. I wish you could, seriously, because I've never had anything like it. It's not that smoky, not that peppery, not that like it was
it's
just
balanced is the right word for it. It's really balanced.
I said to Will, you might not ever break down a shoulder ever again.
I don't think I have to.
Why would you?
Yeah.
I mean,
you'll save me the shank for the awesome buku, but let's not be crazy.
Yeah,
but
right.
I mean, what's Ryan going to eat?
Good news for you guys and me is late season's coming up. I still got some doe tags left, so if I can get that flintlock to actually go off this year,
call Darren.
then maybe I'll be bringing you a couple.
Yeah.
well, and doe have 2 shoulders. There's another one in
Usually
the
that's
freezer.
how God makes them. Two.
Yeah.
There's another one in the freezer.
Generally,
Yeah.
We did. We vacuum sealed the entire shoulder and put it in the freezer.
It worked out better. I have plans for the rest of the au jus. I think that I might do. Phil said make a poutine gravy.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the other cool cuts you made this time?
I got one thing I got to ask about.
But I feel like just doing a gravy in general is going to be the next level.
And before we go on, you had mentioned when we were feasting upon that wonderful roast that gravy tasted like there was butter already added into it. Do you think that could be some of that marrow there?
Yeah. And
now that I heard that's the story.
No, you get hit with a buttery taste.
You do.
You absolutely
it's like
do.
you'd already prepped that for gravy by placing that butter fat already in there.
It's
I'm
mad.
slap you. It's so good.
There's so many things.
Now, as good as that was, and I'm going to sound like an idiot for trying to compare a side dish to that. Yeah, I know. Something that just really caught my palate was your squash.
Oh, thank you.
What is in that?
Yeah.
Besides the bacon, it was amazing.
Yeah. So
standing up against the best venison shoulder ever, I actually like that just as much.
Isn't that a great side dish? Hey, folks, right now here in Pennsylvania, because we're keeping Pennsylvania foraging sexy, is our gourds right now. So butternut squash, acorn squash, spaghetti squash. My gosh, they're probably 50 cents at a grocery store or a farmer's market. They're just so cheap right now because there's a great bumper crop. And I love cooking seasonally. What I don't like is skinning squash. So Darren, if you're listening, I will pay very good money for you to take the skins off. So anyway, I was a big trooper. That was acorn squash you ate. And I took the skin off 2 of the acorn squashes. And by the time I got to the 3rd one, I was like, screw it.
Well, I saw
and
that.
And I just left some with the skin on. Chunked it up. Sheet pan, line it with foil to be kind to yourself for cleanup. It's not kind to the environment, but make your choices wisely. We're conservationists at heart, so I figure that's how we balance things. Hit it with the same olive oil because I wanted to use the same oil that was used in the meat rub. I hit it with the grunt rub to spice it up.
Okay.
And then I used a plum balsamic vinegar to sweeten it up a little. Because remember how, the Miser Never Fail marinade has sweet, bitter, unctuous, like all that good stuff in it. So I made sure those 5 elements were there. Will's smoked salt and Will's smoked pepper.
Okay.
And then the last thing that I did...
I'm running out of smoked pepper.
I'll bet.
He is. Yeah. Smoke some more.
I gotta smoke some more.
And the last thing I did was I hit it.
Smoke a fool.
I had like 3 strips of bacon because we had I made an appetizer for us last night for dinner. I had 3 strips of bacon just sitting there, and I was like, well, why don't I just throw this in?
Why not?
It was
because they're there.
Because they're there. Because nobody got mad at bacon.
Bacon.
No, but it just was really good.
I feel like in full disclosure, we should say this though. When Will and I had the brisket Sunday night, we just made Kraft macaroni and cheese with it.
Just
it
to
was
say
delicious.
you had something else with it.
We were so tired.
How pedestrian.
Oh, I'm sorry. Monday night.
Very
It was
much.
Monday night. Yeah, we were just so tired.
Yeah.
And he's like, how about mac and cheese? And I'm like, how about sold? Yeah. So
I think it sounds delicious.
yeah.
Perfect combination.
Do you want to tell them quickly about the other? Because you made 2 other cool cuts that we've not made.
I did. So in the hind corner, you just the world is your oyster. I mean, as far as like, there's so many cuts and so many different styles of meat can be made from those things. So I took a bunch of it and made tips and toast meat.
Perfect,
So
like
just
really
tips.
well manicured cubes. Like just really nice
So you
sized,
could do
even
like a beef stroganoff
cubes.
with that.
Pub sandwiches.
You can do the
Yeah.
stews.
Your poutine, like I thought about poutine.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh
you
my
can
gosh.
skewer them.
Skewer them, actually. Yeah, you made them at the perfect size.
Am I off the beaten path? But that's where you get the ball roast out of, right? A hind quarter.
Yeah,
That-
it's on there too.
I have found that is one of the better, like that is a hidden gem as far as a quote unquote roast.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did save those because we do
They're
love
so
the ball
tender
roast so much.
So
I
the-
made deer candy that like we've done the duck out of.
Right, right.
Out of that specific cut.
Yeah, we're actually have plans for those. We do a sous vide roast beef. So it literally looks like and tastes like roast beef.
You just kind of slice it like lunch meat with the ball roast. That's our favorite way to do that. Sous vide it in a wonderful marinade. Finish it off in a cast iron pan so it gets that roast beefy crust. Oh, roast beast.
All right, let's shut it off. Let's go get the Traeger
I'm
going.
not- yeah.
It's going to be a late night, folks. We got to get going.
No. Tell them about one other cut.
I'm
the
hungry.
one last cut.
I'm not going to leave this seat. I'm just gonna live here now.
They're gonna have
I got a puddle of drool under me.
A Puddles of Drool.
One last cut. Fellas.
Puddles of Drool was the name of my rock band.
You need a drool bucket, bud.
They opened up for Darren the Skinner.
Puddles of Drool. Anyway, the last thing I did was I medallioned a couple little packs of steak that are just. I just thought they're perfect for steak and eggs. And
Yeah.
So
Right?
on the
We've
packaging,
never done that.
Yeah, on the packaging, I just wrote steak and
Smart
eggs.
idea.
It's just little medallions of.
I can't wait to fry those up on either side with a lot of breakfast seasoning. Like we have a maple breakfast seasoning.
Petite cuts.
Yeah.
See you in the morning.
Some
Put
morning,
a poached egg over top of that with an English muffin on the bottom.
like that might be
Lights out.
Just come down here and wake me up.
that is a special kind of a breakfast that you two could enjoy on a morning before you have family
Why
come
are you
over
cutting
for
me
that
out of this?
afternoon. I mean, this is something. Sometimes I like to do something special for Dusty, and I like if we're going to have people over, and we're going to cook later on that for that afternoon. But so we're not hungry and eating lunch and whatnot. We eat a very good breakfast or a special breakfast. And then we kind of get busy with our day, and that's kind of us spending some time together as well.
Nice.
That is cool.
That sounds like a perfect opportunity.
Yeah.
Break those out Christmas morning. You know, make
There
a
you
nice
go.
steak and eggs up. A little bit, kick it up a notch.
You were
know?
the last great family man. Last
there
of his
it is.
breed. You probably put in a pool with your bonus.
Christmas bonus.
Didn't you?
The Jelly of the Month Club. She falls down a well, eyes go cross. Gets hit by a mule, they go back again. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's a Christmas miracle. but no, I mean, but what I'm saying is, I love the fact that you guys are like going to breakfast now.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
We, with deer, with
Yep.
venison. We're
Exactly.
It's all over the place, and it literally, I'm inspired by the processing. Like as I process the deer, the cut tells me where to go with it.
You guys got
Yep.
every shred of life that you could possibly get out of that field to plate class. I mean,
We really did.
It's cool to
We didn't
kind of
even
learn from
Yeah.
you,
Well, we
learning from
didn't
them.
necessarily learn. We learned that was a possibility, but the actual doing is kind
Yeah,
of
folks,
like,
you have to practice.
It
It
just
just
seems like
opened the
everything you do is
Yeah.
so
You gotta
purposeful
practice.
now.
Yeah, it
Yep.
opened
Yeah.
the door that this
Yeah.
is how you think.
Yep.
You know.
So the reason we talk about Darren and his 8-minute skinning is he practiced, right? So folks,
Oh, yeah.
you've got sportsmen all around you, sportswomen all around you. You hear they harvest, go.
yeah, do
Just
it.
go.
Yep.
Go and practice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love practicing on other people's deer. Just
Right,
saying.
Ryan?
Right.
That's
Right.
right. I love
Hey,
it.
comrade.
And I have to
love
tell
love
you,
to practice on it.
you know, the beauty of getting extra tags
Usually-
is you can free up your thinking. You know,
And usually people don't turn down on the practice either. Like, you mind if I come and butcher you? You get on
Yeah.
down here.
Yeah, who gets to butcher somebody?
go and
or who-
practice.
I was going to mention this, but I was kind of itching for maybe somebody to come and get me Saturday so I could help butcher some of these deer. 'Cause
Oh, I didn't
was,
know.
I was cabin bound.
Phil, we
and
totally would have.
I would have been
You gotta speak
completely
up.
worthless because I would have been good for an hour, and then I need to take a nap. You know,
Phil, we're always
pack
looking
up,
for color
pap on
commentary.
naps. But still, I think I was more envious and jealous of the post. Not that I couldn't harvest, but being involved
The processing.
in the processing, and,
As they
and
say
the
in
fellowship.
Mexico, the processing.
The processing, yes. So guilty. I'm sorry, I had to let that out. It's a
yeah,
confession.
holler next time. You know you're always welcome.
Oh, but you guys.
Someone would get you.
There was so much meat flying around this weekend. It was like spring break. Back in my college days.
Really? I bet.
Oh no,
I
I'm
bet.
exaggerating. I never went anywhere on spring break. for
University of
college.
Missouri.
Yeah, never did.
Never had to. It was like a vacation. Anyway, guys, I think we did this topic a little justice.
Thanks for letting me join.
Thanks for
Indeed.
jumping
Thank
on
you for
in with
sharing
us.
your
Yeah.
food.
Thanks for making me drool.
Are there any hot towels here for when you come out of the current?
No.
No.
You got to run
Need
inside.
to upgrade the studio.
aired
You got to shake it off.
It's like
Yeah, we drip dry.
I get it. I respect
in
that.
the dacha in Siberia. In and out.
Is that what they say?
From the sauna, in and out, yeah. You've never seen those videos of those guys going over there for the...
That's down in
wrestling
Southwest Missouri, they call that the Dutch oven.
You watch videos of guys going
call
in
something else a Dutch oven in Southwest Missouri, that's for sure.
I thought you were going to say you watch videos of guys going in and out of the sauna.
Well, you got to practice.
You do. And I don't. Well, we'll talk.
Anyway.
That's for another episode.
The trick is not letting them see you watch.
maybe in special regs land, Kyle.
Bruce Lee would say that's the art of staring without staring.
Just be the stare.
Exactly.
Bucky, you better land this plane.
Oh, guys, I tell you what, if you need to get any more of us, if you haven't had enough, you can always find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Rudden River Pursuits. Of course, on YouTube at Rudden River Pursuits Podcast, and of course, on the World Wide Webs at RuddenRiverPursuits.com. And as promised, you can download this episode and all our episodes on most podcast apps such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
I heart those radios.
I like the Spotify.
Radio.
Hey, Stevie, before we kick this current, tell us about this month's other sponsor.
This month is also brought to you in part by Miser Creative LLC. Rudden River Pursuits podcast is a production of Miser Creative LLC, and if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or if you need help creating video content for social media, look us up. Give Will an email at will@ruttenriverpursuits.com for more information or pricing options.
Alrighty, guys.
I like the Miser Creatives because they keep the lights on, don't they?
Oh,
Yes, they do.
love them guys.
Love that name.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them in mind if you're looking for some content or want to work with them.
They can create a podcast in under 12 minutes.
In 8 minutes, yeah. That's awesome.
Guys, appreciate it.
Thank you, Bucky.
Thanks, guys.
Rig 'em weedless, trash pit hip quiver.
She took them all.
She's just
Mic drop.
Peace.
Bucky.
Let me be the first to say congratulations.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Did you just congratulate Ryan?
I'd like to
I did
congratulate
Will.
Ryan.
Oh,
Congratulate Will.
Bucky actually, we're a hot mess. Bucky congratulated me, and I congratulated Ryan.
Ryan was congratulating.
So I got it right.
We love each other. Congratulations,
Congratulations,
guys. I love you
everybody.
guys. You guys are awesome.
Congratulations, everyone.
Kyle's like, why would all the deer filtered by the guy with the least amount of tags? And
For the same reason they bust half a rack off.
right.
For the same reason that they avoid me and run to other people.
You really must not have a scent control game at all, Kyle, honestly.
My scent control game is freakish.
I don't believe it.
It's not the scent, Mr. Spittle.
It's the second time I got to hear these stories.
In the air.
Hi, fellas.
I don't know, guys.
Leanna.
Hello, Miss
I
Leanna.
gotta tell you, the water is really nice tonight in this current.
That's because I'm upstream.
Oh, Bucky, you didn't.
I did.
It's warm spot. Love it.
I'm just having one of those years too. It's just every time I'm in the woods, I feel like I'm dragging something home. So it's super rare,
It's a good problem to have, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel bad about that at all. It's a problem we wish we all had.